You all thought Father's Day was just about ties, barbecues, and Instagram captions, but this year it became a full-fledged emotional battleground, featuring none other than the once unshakably queen of hip-hop, Remy Ma, who is now on the wrong side of a historic moment because, while she was out there disparaging and using the word shame as if it were part of her skincare routine, Papoose did something that no one saw coming. He publicly reunited with his transgender child in a way that was proud and unapologetic. Then, just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, the full video leaked, and the hugs, tears, and the raw truth. Yes, the moment the crowd screamed louder than Ray's ego. So, what actually happened behind that reunion? Why was Remy Ma allegedly trying to bury the story? How did Papoose pull off the ultimate plot twist that left her reputation in complete disarray? Get your popcorn, screenshots, and shady tweets ready, because the truth is messier than Ray's last PR stunt. Let's break it down, and believe me, you're not prepared for what's coming next. This is Gossip Spill Vibe, and today we're going into something more profound than bar fights or BET stage brawls. Imagine a sunny afternoon in Harlem, where dozens of people gathered at a community center for a low-key celebration of Black fathers, but no one anticipated who would walk in next. Papoose, hand in hand, flanked by his trans son. When I say jaws dropped, I mean that people. And in the process, completely dismantling Remy Ma's carefully curated public image. It all started months ago. You know how it goes. Remy Ma sitting pretty on a podcast couch rocking designer shades indoors like it's part of her brand, speaking just vague enough to go viral. The host asked about family privacy, and Remy, never one to keep it PG, delivered this quote. I think people are performative, like some stuff isn't for the timeline. Not everybody's ready to show the things they aren't proud of. Excuse me, what? TT. The internet did not miss that one. Within hours, Twitter detectives had their gloves on. Reddit threads were lighting up, and fans started stitching that clip with old family photos, side eyes from interviews, and even distant cousins who went live claiming they had seen the tension firsthand. And just like that, Remy Ma was allegedly calling Papoose's trans son something to be ashamed of, and baby, why, the backlash. It wasn't just loud, it was savage. Comments poured in. So Remy is as proud of pulling a gun, but not of her child, got it. Black love was never about love, just control, and it shows. The worst part is that Papoose remained completely silent. Not a single tweet, bar, or even a shady story repost, until this past Sunday, when the silence broke, and worse, it exploded. The first video was taken by a random event attendee. It was grainy footage with bad lighting and a shaky phone camera, but it was clear as day. Papoose standing at a podium, his arm around a young man in a fit. That particular TikTok went from 87 views to just 1.7 million in less than 3 hours. In the meantime, the audience and the internet were exploding with applause, heart emojis, and quote tweets like, "This is fatherhood." Papoose simply did what most men in his position never do. Someone checked on Remy. Speaking of which, where was Remy Ma? She wasn't in the building. The full HD video that was leaked online during the reunion showed Papoose holding back tears as he talked about forgiveness, identity, and how real men show up even when it's difficult. Wasn't mentioned, she wasn't even on Instagram. In fact, her entire account went dark for a full 24 hours. No stories, no tweets, just silence and a growing army of followers demanding a response. And then the comments started turning brutal. Guess now we know why she stayed home. She tried to shame a man into silence, and he responded with love. Remy Ma's career just ended on Father's Day. Comment sections on old posts were flooded with unfollowing. Do better, and the infamous black love was never real. It was scripted. Now, let's be clear, this wasn't just a petty clapback moment. This was a cultural shift. Because in a genre like hip-hop, where masculinity is often rigid and fragile, to see a man like Papoose, a respected, street-verified, lyrical legend, openly embrace his trans child in public, that's not just rare, it's revolutionary. And for Remy Ma, it's devastating because this isn't just about one reunion. It's about a whole narrative she spent years. As if things couldn't get any worse, a second clip leaked from backstage, showing Papoose's voice saying, "I kept quiet long enough, but I'm done protecting people who don't protect what matters." Ouch! That wasn't just a quote. The building, the tough love ride-or-die wife, the unrepentant mother, the brand ambassador of Black love, all of it was falling apart because one man's man decided to do what she wouldn't show up for his child. That was a funeral bell, and the internet ate it up. Now fans weren't just dragging Remy, they were rewriting history. People started resurfacing old interviews where she cut Papoose off mid-sentence, times she laughed at serious questions, and old love and hip-hop clips where she dismissed emotional conversations with a side eye and a smirk. The timeline had officially turned against her. And this Father's Day wasn't about her anymore. It was about truth, family, growth, and a man who refused to stay silent. So just as Papoose stood on that Harlem stage with his trans son, with cameras rolling, voices cracking, and the crowd ready to throw roses at his feet, Remy Ma's world behind the scenes was starting to burn like a bet, a green room fight gone viral. Now here's where things take a sharp left turn, because while the public was falling in love with Papoose all over again, Ray's silence wasn't just awkward anymore, it was looking downright guilty. Why? Because within 48 hours of that emotional Father's Day video leaking, "I used to be close with Remy's team. She never wanted that child around. Said it would ruin the brand." That's a quote. Phew. And don't worry, it didn't stop there. Another purported former stylist posted receipts stating that during a fitting last year for a family shoot, Remy reportedly said, "We're keeping this clean. No confusion. People need to see Black excellence, not that." And baby, the tea is boiling. Let's start with the first message that made its way to an unnamed blog with 187K followers. Now, let's pause for a second because that comment, not that that's just a bad take. That's a nuclear meltdown in progress, especially in 2025 when visibility and inclusion are not just expected, they're demanded. And yet, as the screenshots piled up and exposed accounts began breaking down every timeline outfit and awkward interview clip in Remy's career, what was her response? Nothing, no apology, no clarification, not even a classic "y'all misunderstood me." Instagram story in white font on a black background, nada, radio silence. Meanwhile, Papoose, he was booked and busy. The Harlem event was just the beginning. In the days following, he was spotted at a youth center with his son again, this time donating books and hosting a panel on fatherhood and, yes, rocking a shirt that said, "Real men stand with their kids." Instant meme, instant merch, instant legacy moment, and don't think the media wasn't paying attention. Within hours, BuzzFeed, Rolling Stone, and even XXL ran stories about the Father's Day reunion, but they all asked the same question: where was Remy Ma? At that point, the internet went into overdrive. TikTokers split screens, comparing Remy's BET speeches about unity to her current silence. Overnight, fan-made documentaries called The Fall of Remy Ma and From Black Love to canceled what happened. They were tweeting, "We rode for you when they disrespected your talent, but this is unforgivable." She had a platform. She chose to spit on it. Protecting her image while hurting her own child is not power. It's cowardice. Then came the final blow from none other than a former Love and hip-hop producer who dropped this juicy leak. Remy was given a full opportunity to include her son in the latest Black Love spin-off. She declined and said, "It's not the storyline I want to tell." Since that wasn't just shade, you could hear the collective scream from the culture, because that was evidence. If you know anything about the internet, you know that once something seems true, it quickly becomes true. The timing couldn't have been worse because, despite Remy's best efforts to hide her past, it kept coming to light. An old interview clip appeared in which she downplayed her gender identity, fan Q, and awkwardly avoided mentioning the number of children she had. Even distant family members began to post on Instagram. Lives with thinly veiled prayers for healing, and she knows what she did. But while Remy's team rushed to put an end to everything, Papoose's trans son, let's call him Zion, became the real story. Videos of Zion hugging his father went viral, and a soft-spoken voice said, "I didn't know if I'd ever get to call him dad again, but he showed up. That's all I ever needed." Twitter was in ruins. with the hashtag #dadgoals trending for 6 hours in a row. Cardi B, Levercox, and even Barack Obama retweeted the video. According to reports, President Obama liked a fan's tweet that read, "This is what fatherhood looks like in 2025. Remy Ma's mentions were a wasteland during that time. 4 days later, she shared a picture of her nails, and the first 300 comments said, "How about posting a kid, girl? We're not forgetting nails." Still canceled. He changed his bio. That's right. The man who used to proudly display his husband to Remy Ma in all caps on all social media platforms now had a new father poet project in progress. No Remy, no reference. Just a quiet unfollow and a louder message than any diss track could ever deliver. After that, Gossip Spill Vibe got the tip that really rocked us. A source close to the family, purportedly a cousin, who has attended every family barbecue since 2013, asserted that Remy had been avoiding Zion for years because she was embarrassed and didn't want him around industry people. If this is accurate, it's not just neglect, it's image control at the expense of your child's humanity, and in a time when public favor is based on authenticity, Remy Ma is officially broke. However, as the fallout continues, another surprising name. At this point, Remy Ma's name was hanging in the algorithm like a ghost haunted by screenshots stitched into thousands of TikToks and echoing through Twitter threads where even her most ardent supporters had gone silent. However, just as the dust seemed to be settling and Remy was about to enter the chat, let's just say she's not coming quietly, because up next is the woman who has been suspiciously silent throughout all of this, but now appears front and center in Papoose's most recent post. Yep, Clarissa Shields. Clarissa's Shields dropped the bomb. It was almost too subtle, but the internet doesn't miss anything. A picture of Clarissa standing next to Papoose, both of them smiling, with his arm loosely draped across her shoulders, showed a mural behind them that said, "You don't get to choose the child you raise, but you do choose how you raise them." Just the silence, with no tag or caption. And the internet went crazy. Clarissa immediately became popular, not because of her fights or her Olympic titles, but because of her masterful silent shade. Fans were analyzing every pixel of that picture as if it were a government file leak. Oh, she knew exactly what she was doing with that quote behind them. This isn't support, this is strategy. She's sending a clear message. That's how you support a black man and his child. Unquestionable, and even though Clarissa didn't say much, she didn't have to, because her subsequent Instagram story featured a repost of Zion's embrace with Papoose with a text overlay that read, "This is what love looks like." Proud of them both. That's right, Remy Ma's entire brand took a 1-2 punch, because it wasn't just about Papoose and his son anymore. It was also about the new support system that was growing around him. Now, let's not forget that Clarissa had already been rumored to be more than just a friend ever since those BET Award side eyes, but this was proof that she was at least emotionally invested. And guess what happened next? Remy Ma made a surprise appearance, posting a black square with the caption, "Healing is never linear, but silence doesn't mean shame."
Stay tuned.
Girl, how did the audience respond to the instant roast? You spent weeks on this, and this is what silence means. That black square isn't going to save you this time, sis. It was the worst move she could have made at the worst possible moment, because Zion went live on Instagram that evening, saying, "I don't want this to be about hate. I just wanted to be seen." Yes, he was the quiet, soft-spoken son that people had hardly seen before. "I love my mom, but I can't protect her feelings," my dad also told me. Over my reality. News outlets started referring to the incident as one of the most important moments in hip-hop parenting history, and while that may sound dramatic, it was actually That line alone sent Twitter into a tizzy of support and tearful reaction videos, with People Zion as the symbol of healing courage and generational change. Discreetly canceled their upcoming campaign. Her talk show appearance was postponed indefinitely, and the panel she was scheduled to lead on empowering black mothers was, well, a panel that featured Clarissa's face in the promotional material overnight. Now, let's talk about the legal aspect of this, as insiders started speculating that Ray's silence wasn't merely a tactic, it was legal. Rumors started to circulate that her team was attempting to stop Zion from disclosing more about private family conflicts. Some even implied that she had previously blocked. An unidentified publishing insider revealed a book deal Zion had pitched about growing up in the shadows of fame. The proposal was genuine, but Remy refused to have her name used and threatened legal action. If it's true, it confirms what many feared. That wasn't about misunderstandings, but rather about controlling the image and shutting down anyone who didn't fit the narrative. Now, picture your brand crumbling while your ex says, yes, because that's the next rumor being hailed as the father of. As one fan put it so eloquently, Remy lost a son, a man, and the internet in a single month. However, before we wrap this up, let's be honest. This isn't just about one family. Several sources close to the family now claim that Remy and Papoose are officially separated, and even though no divorce papers have surfaced, let's just say that his wedding ring has been missing since the reunion. Clarissa is also reportedly seen house shopping with him in Jersey. This Father's Day was more than just cards and cookouts. It was a cultural reset, and if Remy Ma wants to be forgiven, she will need to do more than just post black squares and ambiguous captions. This is because, in a society that still finds it difficult to accept anything that is not traditional, Papoose didn't just show up for his son. He showed up for an entire community, along with Remy. Let's finish this off with a bang. Scroll down for your explosive call to action because this story is far from over. Now, we ask, was a redemption arc or a reckoning? Because after years of showcasing the idealized picture of Black love, Remy Ma had to watch that very image fall apart in real time. This time, it wasn't a diss track, a love triangle, or a cheating scandal that caused it to happen. Rather, it was a fatherhood truth and a son who just wanted. Watched Papoose do something that far too many men in his position still won't do: show up in public for his trans child. In doing so, he not only disregarded Remy Ma's statements, but also a system of shame, silence, and image obsession that has ruined hip-hop from the inside out. Remy, well, the silence spoke volumes, but the question now is whether she can move past this, or if her own child's truth will permanently destroy the Remy Ma brand. You already know what time it is, fire. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Papoose has the right to go public without her. Do you believe Clarissa is using the support card or something else? Last but not least, is Remy Ma still redeemable? If you want more truth, they're too afraid to post more jaw-dropping stories and more secrets that the celebrities would prefer to remain hidden. Make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you can. Don't miss the upcoming expose. The vibe of gossip spilling.